were we exactly? Kaimon. Kaimon. Yes. Kaimon is the son of Miltiades. He has natural leadership ability. He's a military genius. He's a master of strategy for the army and strategy for the navy. Kaimon was the kind of man who made other men cheer, and the ladies adored him. Kaimon was a rough cut, but he had charisma. He was a swashbuckler, I guess we might say, kind of an ancient day Errol Flynn. Kaimon. Ladies, let me ask you a quick question. Does the name Errol Flynn mean anything to you? No. Okay. E-R-R-O-L-F-L-Y-N-N, Errol Flynn. And the way you would see him is to rent a movie. And if you've not seen this movie, you certainly should. It's called The Adventures of Robin Hood, made in 1939. And Errol Flynn is Robin Hood. It's the best Robin Hood ever made, and you don't want to ever rest content with that perfectly awful thing that was done by Kevin Costner, who takes himself so seriously. He's just disgusting. That was the poor excuse for him. Maid Marian was, kind of a high middle-aged feminist. She could beat up with him. But anyway, Errol Flynn, let me tell you something. I and all of my buddies, he's our hero. I have a portrait of Errol Flynn hanging at home. He's my hero. And every guy my age will tell you that, and every guy 30 years older than me will tell you that too. He was the only guy in Hollywood who was bigger than Hollywood. And he was bigger in real life than he was on the screen. He is the ultimate swashbuckling hero, Errol Flynn. And my wife, when she thinks about Errol Flynn, or whenever his name is mentioned, within an hour or two, she gets a faraway look in her eye. And I know she's not thinking about me. I don't know how that's possible. I suspect she's thinking of Errol Flynn. It's a suspicion.
Why is he so great?
You'll have to see it. You won't have to ask once you see Errol Flynn. He's, my sister would say, he's, how would she say? I'm trying to think of the term. He's dreamy. He's dreamy. That's what she would say. To the heartthrob, Errol Flynn. He was the second greatest equestrian alive in the world, and probably the fifth ranking fencer in the world. Flynn. And in The Adventures of Robin Hood, he had a duel with Sir Guy of Gisborne, and that part is played by Basil Rathbone, who was probably the greatest living fencer in the world. And Rathbone, who played later Sherlock Holmes, used to play the villain in the movies. He once said he let down the mask just a little bit, and he said once, talking about the sword fights, the epic sword fights he had with Flynn. In the end, he always got killed. But he said once to someone who reported it, he said, I could kill him in a sentence. But he really regretted that he had to lose all the time. I could have killed him in a sentence. Yeah. He was human after all. I'd get tired of losing too. I do get tired of losing. That's why I'm going to get my wife straight now. Right. That's what my wish to do. Does that say Boston? As in Red Sox? Oh. What? Well, you can stay, but barely. dad took me to the Yankee Stadium in 1951. I was 6 years old, and I've been a Yankee through and through ever since. My mother was a Brooklyn Dodgers fan, and in 1955, the Dodgers finally beat the Yankees, and I thought my mother was never going to let my dad forget that. But he lived on that for the next 10 years. In those days, the Yankees were so good, the New York papers used to refer to them as the lordly Yankees. Oh, it just made everybody who hated the Yankees sick to the stomach to hear that. The lordly Yankees. Yeah, they were that good. Yeah, okay. Chiron said to the Athenian assembly, there is a way to prevent the Persians from ever invading. And believe me, that got their attention. How to do it? Athens must triple the size of its nation. We will build 600 triremes. And then, all of the island city-states out in the Aegean, when you look at the map, you can see them. They're all in sort of that pinkish rosette color. Those all are very wealthy city-states, those islands. And each of them has a number of warships in their navies. And no one island has a huge fleet. But if you take all of them together, it's a lot of warships, a couple of hundred at least. And so together, the Athenians with the island city-states, they can put to sea with 600 first-rate ships of the line. And the idea is to clear the seas of all Persian ships, sink on sight. And he's not talking about just the Aegean. That's the body of water in between the Greek areas of the Aegean. He's talking about the entire eastern Mediterranean, ladies and gentlemen. The entire eastern Mediterranean. This is going to take years to do. But what Chiron is proposing is that they turn the eastern Mediterranean and the Aegean into one giant Athenian lake, where only Athenian ships and the allies of Athens may sail. And you see, if the Persians cannot put a ship to sea, how would they ever support their army? So he's just solved the problem. Now the problem is this: it's going to take a huge effort and probably 6 years to do this. So who would command? Chiron raised the question, and he said he had found the man to command such an effort and expedition. And he had found him that morning when he looked in the mirror to shave. Yes, it was Chiron. And Chiron then will lead the great fleet. And it took about 5 years to do this. And then Chiron returned to Athens, hailed the conquering hero. He was the toast of Athens. And then he said, there is work still to be done. Ionia is still occupied by the Persians. They are our cousins. We are honor bound to set them free. So I propose that we invade Ionia with the island allies, and together with the Ionians we will liberate them. And so this is probably going to take another 3 to 4 years. Who would command such a daunting expedition? Again, in the mirror, Chiron found his man. It took 4 years. And at the end, Ionia was set free. The Persians totally defeated and thrown out. And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, Athens stood at the absolute pinnacle of prestige in the entire Greek world. Everyone saluted the Athenians, except one. And Sparta didn't salute anybody except Sparta. Yeah. This was Chiron's greatest moment. But I must tell you, Chiron is a man of action. In political affairs, he is a dewy-eyed innocent. He's a lamb. And you must remember, whoever is at the top in Athens, no matter how great they are, always has great enemies who wish to see him pulled down. Athens is the most competitive environment on the face of the earth. And kind